Hey there, and welcome back to some Remnant. We're using the exhaust valve today. It's an amulet that I just really like. It's not necessarily amazing or anything too flashy, but I was reading a couple comments and somebody had watched the video and, thinking some things, whatnot. And so I wanted to do it again. And he was curious about why I didn't just run Challenger for the primary, diehard perk, some other things too. And so I took a quick look at what I did in the video because I vaguely remembered, and I don't know exactly what I was thinking at the time, but I have some pretty decent ideas. I was running Gunslinger Handler, which is one of my favorite combos to do anyways. I just like it. But what I was trying to do is, with the exhaust valve, it allows you to just shoot nonstop, right? Your guns no longer overheat. If you're not familiar with what it does, you don't overheat your guns anymore. Now, it does come with the drawback of slowing down your weapons once they get to that overheat, and so they will have a reduced fire rate, but you're still shooting. So I opted for the bone saw as my primary. It was, I think, one of the cube guns as my secondary, and then I ran Gunslinger as my primary with Bulletstorm because I wanted Bulletstorm. So at one, I'd have a faster fire rate, and then as I took enemies down, my weapon would auto reload. Bonesaw takes a lot of ammo, and so I wanted to have a little bit of that infinite ammo perk from the Gunslinger so that I could just infinitely, pull from an infinite reserves for a little bit and then not have to worry about ammo so much. So that's why I was running Gunslinger as my primary and why I didn't really use Challenger, because the Rampage on Challenger would be amazing, which is what we're doing here. Now, another reason I was using the Handler before, though, is I wanted to send the dog in to draw aggro. At least I'm pretty sure that's what I was trying to do. Because while you can just sit there and shoot without overheating your weapon, it can be tough when enemies are on top of you and attacking you. And so by having the dog there and it taking aggro, in theory, you could keep shooting for longer and actually utilize the benefit of the amulet and essentially overheat your weapon, but keep shooting and keep maintaining that DPS. But for this one, we're running Gunslinger and Challenger. I'm still running Gunslinger as my primary because I still want those infinite ammo reserves. And then we've got Challenger as a secondary so that we can use the Rampage ability and get some good damage there. Now, there's an interesting thing about the Plasma Cutter and Bulletstorm, and Bonesaw doesn't behave the same way. But if you notice, as we shoot guys and we take them down, it refills the ammo, right? But it also drops the heat value, which is actually really nice, right? That is a very good thing to have happen, because if your gun is going to reload and it's all based around overheating and not, then you don't want your gun to overheat too quickly as you're just constantly shooting it, right? Now, for us right now, it's not normally a problem it's not a problem right now because we have the exhaust valve on. So I don't really care that it does that. If I wasn't using the exhaust valve, that's actually a fantastic feature between Bulletstorm and the Plasma Cutter, because it does actually allow you to continue shooting, and then every time it reloads when you take down an enemy, the heat value resets, which means you can keep your damage ramped up without overheating and reloading. So yeah, kind of a plus bonus. I don't know what you want to say about it. It is a good thing, a little unnecessary for what we're doing here. Bonesaw doesn't do that. Bonesaw, if you take down an enemy with Bulletstorm, the heat does not reset. I think that might be a bug. I'm not sure which way it's supposed to be. But the thing with the exhaust valve too, there's only a few weapons you can actually use with it to utilize that overheat value effect, and that's your Plasma Cutter, the Bonesaw, and the two cube guns. There might be one that I'm kind of missing. I know you have the gravity launcher one, monorail, but that one does not benefit from any of the overheat stuff from what I remember. So can't really utilize that. But the cube guns are honestly the best thing to get value from it, because the guns overheat very quickly, but they have infinite ammo. So you can constantly shoot them without ever stopping to reload or anything along those lines. So then you can kind of choose whether you want to use the regular cube gun or the corrupted one. I do really like the corrupted because it has just a nice penetrating cube that goes through a lot of things. I don't have to worry about whether or not the bullets have come back. That's a problem with a regular one. If I am kind of a miss and it doesn't hit anything, we got to wait for the bullets to come back, and that can be a bit obnoxious. So sometimes if the enemies are a little bit further away, then the corrupted cube gun might be your better choice. But I do like to use either one as essentially my shotgun, because that's kind of how they work best. Now, the mutators that I've got going on in them, so there's two main choices I would say, though you could probably finagle around with some other interesting combinations. But one guy, he recommended pressure points, because I am playing it close with the cube guns, and so we just get a constant damage bonus and crit chance. I can't remember exactly. Ranged, that's what it is, ranged and mod damage by 15% to enemies that are close to us. And then when we activate the mod, it does a blast. So that one's not bad. Is that actually the one I wanted? No, that's not the one I wanted. I was confused. I was thinking nearsighted. That's the one I wanted. So now the range damage is increased when they're close, and then we get the increased crit chance. So I like that one, because pressure points is solid too, but the secondary effect with the mod explosion when they're close, not super happening a lot. So, I mean, depends, I guess. Another option you could do is the superheated mutator. So that one, as your gun overheats, it actually explodes. And so for all your values, I think it's at 20% or 25%. Every time it overheats or hits that threshold, it releases an explosion. And then when you reach maxi, it does a larger explosion for more damage, and it actually does fire damage. Now, bad thing with that one, it hits everybody. That final explosion will hit you, it'll hit your teammates, etc. The other little ones do not. So if you do the superheated mutator, you got to be a little careful with it, and you'll want to put points into kinship, so that you're not completely destroying yourself, not completely destroying your team. Now, another good thing about it, though, is if we're using it with a cube gun, which is what I would recommend, because a gun overheats very quickly and you can be constantly shooting and overheating it, that big explosion will continue to go off every 3 seconds, I believe it is, 3 to 5 seconds, because your gun is constantly overheated at the max value. So it will continue to explode and do AoE damage. And that can be kind of handy to get rid of like little chaff guys, little annoying things, sometimes just to add extra little bits of damage to the boss. You know, it depends on what you need it to. The radius on it isn't super huge. I'm pretty sure it was affected by amplitude, but the last time I remember messing with it, I think there were some weird interactions with it where either the visual showing for it wasn't right, or it wasn't actually doing the damage. I can't remember. Okay, let's go ahead and just bullet storm and do some of this, dodge that. Now we should actually switch to this one, because we can ramp up the damage with it being a boss. Now luckily the plasma cutter does break those things, which is really nice. We'll activate the mod now, so it just auto reloads their gun, and we can just continue to shoot, and we'll go like that. We'll reload it now, get ready to activate Rampage, so that we can get constant ramping damage here, and then the max Rampage stacks here in a moment. Oh, maybe not. Just kind of strafe those things. Ooh, I was a little off to the side. Okay, good timing on that. He has empathy, that's interesting. I mean, Plasma Cutter does a lot of damage, and by continuing to, or being able to continuously shoot, we don't really have to worry about whether or not we're going to overheat when we run out of ammo, or when we get towards the end of the magazine. Because that's, for the Plasma Cutter, if you don't have anything towards heat values, you can get close to the end of a magazine, and that's about when it will overheat. If you have anything that reduces the heat, like the micro compressor ring, you can actually clear an entire magazine without actually overheating the weapon, which is really nice. But with this, we can actually utilize some other rings and stuff in order to get the benefits. We'll just kind of dodge around this one. I think we'll activate the cube for this part. And then if he shoots projectiles, we'll just be able to block them. That should block them, right? Yeah. I'm just going to drop that out. Alright, bullet storm up and go to town. Now, since we are kind of rolling with an overheat type of thing, we can run the constant variable ring. And what that'll do for us is increase our range damage as the gun overheats. So as long as we're up at max value, max heat, we're doing 20% more range damage. And that's a pretty sizable chunk, right? There's not a lot of rings and stuff that will actually give you that much of a damage bonus. We're just going to switch it now instead of reloading. Wasn't paying attention. Activate the cube. See, there was a brief moment there where I was missing things, so I didn't get the full damage. Rampage. Any moment now? There we go. Yeah, it's solid. It's a reasonable build. This actually works better than I think people would give it credit for, because I think a lot of times you look at the amulet and you think, oh, it doesn't add any damage. It just does this overheat thing. Is that actually helpful at all? I mean, in that last fight, it was. And now, to be fair, the thing about the exhaust valve and it helping you with overheating and whatnot is you have to be overheating your weapon for it to actually be doing anything of value. Now, you could argue, there is an argument, because it helps your weapon to cool down faster. You could argue because your weapon can cool down faster, you'll just be able to continue shooting at a faster fire rate without overheating more often, something along that line, right? Because in a lot of boss fights, you're going to have to dodge attacks. You can't necessarily just sit there and tank most of them. And so once you start dodging, right, if we start shooting here and then suddenly I'm like, oh, I got to dodge, our gun is already cooled down. So we're not actually utilizing the other effect of the amulet of being able to constantly shoot. But if you do get in a good solid DPS part where you can constantly shoot, maybe the boss has aggro on one of your teammates, you know, maybe you're running the dog, or you're just in a great hallway. Another recommendation you could do, if you're going to utilize the bone saw, well, with a bone saw you can equip whatever mod you want in it. So you could throw in the energy wall and then be able to sit behind that while the wall blocks projectiles, and you can continuously shoot and actually utilize the full effect of the amulet. Is it worth it though? Kind of. I've actually grown to like the amulet more than I did on the last one. I liked it, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it's better, because I did some light, you know, casual dad testing to see the values between, okay, I'm using this amulet and I'm using a different amulet in a different ring, because this is kind of working as a set combo, right? I'm using the exhaust valve with the constant variable ring, so I can always be at max heat for constant 20% more damage, right? But if I don't want to run that, I use a different amulet that's going to be giving me more damage, and then maybe I run the micro compressor ring to manage my heat, right? It's sort of a choice. Do you want your amulet to manage your heat, or do you want a ring to do it? Or you could potentially just switch out the both of them, do a damage ring, a damage amulet, and then just make sure you manage your heat. But that is the thing. You have to actually stop shooting and doing damage in order to make sure you don't burn up your weapon, because when that thing overheats, you're going to have a solid 3 seconds of not shooting, and that's time where you could be doing damage to the enemy, to the boss, whatever, right? So it is something to consider. Play around with it, see what you like, and see whether it works or not. I mean, I'm playing on Apocalypse now. This is working fine, right? It's working fine. And even as far as some of your other mutators go, for whether it's a plasma cutter or the bone saw or whatever, you have options. There are choices you can do for it. I currently have Bandit in there. I like Bandit in there right now. It actually seems to be doing better for me at the moment, but there's probably some stats you could play around with that would change it. But Bandit lets the ammo come back into your magazine, and then when it does that, you get an increased fire rate if you've got the mutator upgraded all the way. So you're getting ammo back in there, which means you're still shooting more, so you're actually able to keep shooting. And normally with overheat, you would have to worry about, oh my gosh, my gun is going to overheat because I'm still shooting, except now you don't have to, because the amulet's not letting it overheat. And then even the downside of it, of reducing your fire rate, isn't so much a problem, because guess what? The mutator, Bandit, is giving you an increased fire rate. So now you're actually okay, because you're getting a better fire rate, you're able to keep shooting, etc., etc. It just all synergizes nicely into itself. I really like it at any rate. Now, you could make an argument for 1,000 cuts, because 1,000 cuts builds up that crit chance and crit damage as you hit guys. It goes away, the stacks go away pretty quickly, but it is a choice you could do. I messed around with some of the numbers real quick with my plasma cutter, because plasma cutter will stack it up really quickly. But I think the way I'm built for my damage right now, it just wasn't as effective because I just wasn't built so well for crit chance and damage. So I ended up just going raw damage, raw fire rate, and that worked out roughly the same, sometimes better, sometimes worse, I guess. See, and that's not a clear answer. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. Again, you're gonna have to look at your stats and maybe what prism stuff you have going on, and if you choose some other rings, you might be better off going 1,000 cuts so that you've got the more crit chance, the more crit damage, etc. Let's get into a dungeon, our next one, so we can fight another boss and show it off that way too. So we're in the hatchery now. Let's give you a quick look of the actual loadout before we really dive into this one. But we've got the gunslinger as a primary, challenger as a secondary, as mentioned. Depending on what prime perks and stuff you want, maybe you want challenger as a primary and gunslinger as a secondary. It's up to you. I would recommend Bulletstorm and Rampage. It's just kind of the natural picks, right? There's the exhaust valve, increase heat decay rate by 25%. They no longer overheat, and then fire rate is reduced by 20% at maximum heat. Constant variable ring for that 20% damage bonus as it overheats. Now, I will be completely honest, I'm not sure if that caps out at 100%, as though meaning you get up to 90% and it's a 19% bonus, and it only hits 100% when it hits, or it only gets a 20% bonus at 100%, or if it actually reaches that 20% damage bonus earlier than at max value. So I'm not 100% sure, but I know we can hit that max value and we don't have to worry about it. Now, because my weapons currently are really rapid fire between the plasma cutter and this regular cube gun, Offering Stone allows us to increase that range damage by 15%, stacks by 1% every second. Now it extends the duration to 10 seconds when you take out an enemy. So depending on what kind of other damage amulet or damage ring you want, you can swap this around, right? It's not as good on the corrupted cube gun because that one doesn't shoot as quickly, but it is an option. So depending on what you want, take some other choice of damage ring, whether it's Burden of the Destroyer, extra crit chance, extra crit damage, Ring of Infinite Damage for more fire rate, maybe some Xania's Malice for the weak spot hits, whatever, right? Now my next two rings are my kind of healing utility ones. So I've got Bloodless King's Vow, so they'll get range damage back as lifesteal. I kind of just want to keep shooting as much as possible. I don't really care to stop and have to use a relic at all. So getting more lifesteal on range damage is fantastic. So even if I take a hit, I can just keep doing damage and regenerate health. Now to kind of help buffer us, we've got the Ring of Crisis on, so that if our health does drop down, we get that shield, and that'll give us a little bit more of a chance to either deal damage to lifesteal or actually use our relic to get us a little bit more healing that way. But speaking of the relic, I am using the Tranquil Heart. I'm using that so I have a little bit more kind of extra regeneration to sort of supplement in between fights and the middle of the fight. But depending on how you're feeling, if you don't really feel you need it, if you need a relic that's going to do some actual healing, run a relic that's going to do actual healing. I would probably recommend the Salvaged Heart. It's just really convenient. It activates faster so that you can get some amount of healing out there, and then based on your gray health even more. And on top of that, because it activates faster, we get the Gunslinger benefit, which gives us a reload on our weapon and 15% more range damage for 10 seconds. And then the Challenger also gets us Bulwark when we're close to enemies and increased damage as well. So by utilizing an actual relic in your fights, you can get a lot of damage bonuses in there. It's something to consider. Armor, I'm just running a full fader set. We have strong back thanks to the Challenger, and I just wanted to use that, so that's what I chose. You could actually swap around some of the pieces for some of the Lido armor and still not be at an ultra weight and get more damage reduction or adjust it. You know, do what you want. Trait wise, we'll go over to guns after the traits. Traits, big things I would recommend for this. One, if you're playing on Apocalypse or something, take the amount of damage reduction and safety nets that you need. So for me, typically maxed Fortify right here for more armor effectiveness, maxed Vigor for more health. Those are just mainstays. It's what I go for. You got Bark Skin instead of Fortify, maybe run Bark Skin. Do what you need to do, right? After that, we took more Leech, so that again, or I took Leech and Siphoner, so we are getting more lifesteal. So we got 4% there, 3% from Siphoner, and then an extra 50% in increased effectiveness for it. So that's adding up quite a bit. If you really, really wanted to double down on that, you could actually swap out the Tranquil Heart for the Siphon Heart, whatever it's called. There it is, Profane Heart, for more lifesteal bonus, and then increase that lifesteal bonus when you're doing it. Again, I went for some other life or regeneration, so I also have points in regrowth So we've got some extra health regeneration there, plus Tranquil Heart. Depending on how you want to mix and match it, you can make it work for yourself. But something I would strongly recommend is taking maxed swiftness if you've got it, so increase movement speed, and then combine it with maxed footwork. So we're trying to continue aiming down sights and keep shooting so that we can utilize all the bonuses they got going on, right? The ramping damage of the plasma cutter, plus the ability to no longer overheat. So we don't really want to have to stop and dodge things. And so by being able to move a little bit faster while shooting, it can actually allow you to dodge some stuff so you can continue to keep shooting guys. Now, if you're running the bone saw instead of the plasma cutter, I have 5 points in handling, but you may want to put more points into it just to handle some of that recoil and the spread reduction as you continue shooting. And then past that, it's kind of whatever else you might want, right? I have a couple points in expertise, couple points in endurance, as well as recovery, because I like some of that quality of life with the stamina, and just a little bit more skill cooldown is nice as well. There it is, plasma cutter, ramps up damage. It's got the heat sink mod in there. That's just, it has to stay in there. Bandit is what I liked in there because it gets ammo back in the magazine, increases the fire rate to help mitigate the downside of the exhaust valve, and then, you know, we can just keep shooting longer for a ramped up amount of damage. But it does work pretty nicely with 1,000 cuts, because that damage bonus stacks 50 times, but it only lasts for a fraction of a second. So it's something to think about. And if you actually run out of ammo and you've been building up the stacks, your gun will actually reload faster so that you can continue to deal the damage. Another idea, not one I've messed around with and I don't think is very good. Run extender, increase magazine capacity. So again, you're going to continue to shoot even longer without having to reload or overheat. So you could do something like that as well. Kind of up to you. You could also run charged wounds. This will help you to increase your fire rate and reload speed a little bit based on the overloaded or enemies with overload on them. And with it being ranked up enough, the mutator will actually apply overloaded to enemies as well. So that is an idea as well if you really want. Cube gun, I already talked about nearsighted being in there. Here is superheated. So when it is above 25% heat, 7.5 meter pulse deals explosive damage every 3 seconds. And then at the maximum heat, that does 300 damage, 100 fire damage that burns you for 20 seconds. Or sorry, which applies burning for 100 fire damage over 20 seconds, only every 3 seconds. But let's go ahead and switch it over to the corrupted cube gun. I'll kind of show you the damage that it can deal to you and whatnot. Fragment wise, I went with range damage and fire rate. I tweaked around a little bit with those fragment choices for your base fragment. If you're doing more critical chance, more critical damage and stuff, you may want to swap those out. You could even get rid of the health bonus. I did that just for more safety since I'm doing Apocalypse. Swap that around for even more damage. I think with a plasma cutter, in a way, I just feel like the just raw damage was almost better just because of how it ramped. But again, all my testing is very casual dad testing, as though I finished doing yard work and I'm having a beer and I'm seeing what kind of works for me. And I mean, yes, some things are going to be better, but a lot of times I found the difference to be somewhat negligible unless you truly min-max something to the utmost extreme. And if that's what you're doing, you're probably not using the exhaust valve. Something can probably be better, but the difference may be 1,000 damage. It might be 300 DPS, something. At the end of the day, it does make a difference, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't. Use what you want to use, man. I do have a max out prism. This is making a difference as well. However, I will take it off for this dungeon just to show you, even though, yes, it makes a difference, it's not going to really make or break this build. And luckily, I do have Prime Time in there, which does give me access to the Challenger's perk as well. Did I miss anything? Melee weapon, I'm using the Atom Splitter. It's got transference in there, gets us some ammo back. I didn't mention the Corrupted Cube Gun's mod, Cube Room. This is actually pretty nice, so it helps with the heat decay rate if you're not using the exhaust valve. That's kind of nice, and it can help with the gun itself. And then it automatically generates missing ammo reserves, so you can have less of an issue dealing with some of the ammo problems if you're really having that kind of an issue. Now you can see how quickly this gun overheats, right? So we're actually able to get that explosive effect from the mutator pretty easily, pretty often. Now this gun I find is going to be really nice in here because these shots just penetrate guys, right? They penetrate you can wipe out complete hallways of all the little guys. It's really handy. Oh, there's an elite coming in. Uh-oh. That's an unfortunate stagger. Let's go ahead and I'm going to kind of keep moving around. Uh-oh. That's really scary. Jesus, man. I'm just messing up all the things right now. Now, while we've got the infinite ammo, we can activate the mod so that we are getting pulled back from our infinite ammo reserves. I want to stay away from that. Good. Okay. A little messy. I mean, we pulled it out. We're okay. We are okay. Sometimes if you get in a spot like that, don't even try and do damage. Just disengage, reset, etc. I considered using the Corrupted Cube Gun more on that elite. However, what I was afraid of was completely overheating the gun and then getting the big damage explosion and that killing me or leading to my death. Also, I don't have a concoction active anymore. So normally I run max vigor. However, I was actually using the armor one. I kind of liked the extra damage reduction. It was nice since I've got some bit more lifesteal and whatnot. So I'll probably put that back on there. It adds an extra 5% damage reduction. I guess I didn't show you my damage reduction values or anything like that. Now you can see there with the explosion of the superheated mutator, how it does help to clear some of the extra little guys. We are currently at 59% damage reduction, so we normally sit at about 54, 55. But with that Mark Skin one, it helps us out a bit. Now something to consider, if you're utilizing the cube guns a lot, Bulletstorm doesn't help as much as it does for some of your other regular guns. Also, you can see we're only at 6 stacks of the Offering Stone. We're at 9 now. It builds up much more slowly with the Corrupted Cube Gun, so it might be worth it for us to swap it around. Now, obviously, as we continue to kill guys, we can reach those max stacks, and then we'll be getting the full damage bonus as long as we continue to hit guys and continue to take them out. But Bulletstorm and the cube guns, a downside with it is because we don't really need, especially with a corrupted one, we don't really need to reload it. So we're actually not benefiting from the auto reload portion when it takes out an enemy. And because this thing has infinite ammo, we actually don't really need or utilize the prime perk of the gunslinger. So if the cube guns are really what you're relying on and what you're using, that could be something to think about as far as which archetype you want to be your primary, and even your skill. You could even swap out the Bulletstorm for maybe a Sidewinder probably won't help us either. I was thinking of the Hunter one. I guess a plus side of the Bulletstorm is you are still getting the fire rate increase, which is helpful. All right, bug time. We will probably overheat our cube gun on this one, so we'll get to see how much damage it actually does and go from there. I'm just gonna start with this. Plasma Cutter will help us for the single target damage. He's got thick skin, elemental resist. I think the problem is too, he's so tiny. It's gonna be kind of annoying to hit. Oh, wrong one. And max explosion. That didn't do as much damage as I remember it doing, actually. Huh. Now we could just sit here and let the explosions deal damage to the boss. That could be an option, actually. Since, you know, we can't really overheat the gun or anything like that. We can just drop you. And then we just sit here and we just let ourselves explode. And let that do damage to him. How much damage is it doing? It's an okay little chunk. It kind of beats trying to hit him, in a way. Anybody else? Alright, let's just hit him now. Yeah, you want to jump on me? Where did you go? They already running away? Cool thing is too, with a corrupted cube gun, mod charges up so quickly. Same thing with a regular one as well, actually. It's just nice. It's just nice how quickly they charge up. I'll probably swap to this just so we can get all the extra little dudes off of us. Owie, owie, owie. It's a lot of damage. Look how quickly we actually steal health. That's a bit of damage, but there's a shield coming in clutch to kind of shield us up while we deal the more damage. Start life stealing away. We'll actually use a relic here, why not? Get some range damage and reload. Now we're low on the plasma cutter thing, so we definitely need this mod to be active so that we can actually get our ammo back. And while he's on us, we'll actually take this out. I mean, we've got the fight in the bag. It's just going to take a while because of the nature of this fight. Different builds are going to obviously do better on this one because he's just a little annoying guy. The status effects are really nice because it can really easily allow you to deal constant damage to him. Not what we're running right now, obviously. Any second now, he'll die. There we go. Alright. Happy days. At the risk of making this video even longer, we're going to fight the Alepsis Taura and see how that fight goes. That one's kind of rugged. I haven't messed with the little charging duplicate, so it's going to be a little bit of a harder fight. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I just realized my mic was way over there. All right, yep, I put the prison back on. That's why I got back up, because it's just good to have, right? I worked on it, it's set. You don't need it to make this work. The build is not reliant on it. It just makes things better for us. Forgot that range was so close. It was just a warm-up, no big deal. Might be worth it for us to use a Corrupted Cube gun, because, we might have some ammo problems if we're only using the plasma cutter, right? So it might be worth it for us just to have that on, just so we can use the mod, be able to recharge our ammo, right? Hopefully, yeah, there we go. I was gonna say, hopefully we hit that infinite or berserk rampage, whatever it's called. But see how we're having to constantly dodge things here? It means we're constantly, constantly not worrying about our overheat value. Now, there are instances like now where we are building it up a lot, but we still didn't even actually get that close to overheating. Lots of ammo on the opposite side away from us, of course. See, we're gonna have to dodge all these too, so we're not gonna worry about overheating or even building up the damage on our plasma cutter, which is sort of a bummer. Now, this is where I have some of the most trouble here. But I think we have some good potential for damage as well. Oh, I forgot he goes down again like that. My bad. Ah, dang it. Oh, no. Had I actually used the Die Hard perk? I don't think I had. Oh, that's a bummer. Alright, finally got to the last phase. This has been a really painful fight, and yeah, I've been kind of rugged. I've not been having a good time, honestly. The fight's cool, but man, he just feels so much more durable than the other ones. And look how much damage we're doing right here. He's so far away. Our damage fall off is brutal. I guess I could get closer towards that edge. I'm worried about falling off accidentally, though. Oh, I still didn't reload. Of course not. That's better. Reload now. Reload now. Or actually use a relic for more damage. Alright. Now we'll kind of sprint this way for a second. Roll through. And we will use the mod for this part. For this period of DPS. Okay, reload it now. Well, I guess I don't have to reload it, honestly, because I've got the Bullet Storm. Woo! I got a little close there. This should do it. There we go. It took me 3-4 tries. But yeah, I mean, setup. I mean, it works. It works. You know, Plasma Cutter does a lot of damage. Exhaust Valve allows you to keep shooting it to keep doing a lot of damage. You got to deal with the exhaust, or you got to deal with the fire rate reduction. But at the same time, you're still doing more damage when you would have been reloading or not shooting or overheating or something. So, it's up to you. Decide how you want to do it. So, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Give some things a go. See what you like, what not. Next one, I'm going to be messing around with the Gift of Euphoria because I've never used it before. But until then, take care.